That's my best buddy, that's Dick Powell. We were in Vietnam together. Lieutenant Phillips, he was our CO for about 3 months, our company CO. Went to Vietnam, 2 weeks he was dead. Stepped on a mine and vaporized him.
If you had to do it all again, if you could do it all again, would you?
Absolutely. It was the most exciting time of my life. Life has been dull compared to that. I'm Bob Taylor, and I was born in Lincoln Park, Detroit. Well, I didn't have a very good childhood. My father was older than my mother. He was like 20 years older. He was 40, she was 20. He had a disability from the service. He was in World War II along with all my uncles. We moved around a lot. We moved from state to state. His excuse was because of his heart, he had to be in a dry element or whatever. So I was moving every year. So I was always, the new guy in school. And I was always pissed off because as soon as I'd meet people, socially, and establish maybe a girlfriend or something, they'd pack up and move. So I was always in a pissed off mood. So I fought a lot. I learned how to take care of myself. In Florida, when I was a teenager, we called ourselves the land crabs. And we were the greasers. I had my hair combed back in a flat top, and everybody out in my club was. And we would go down and get into fights with the surfers. And we had this old car. It was a 56 Ford convertible. We called it Black Death and White Lightning. And we used to take an ironing board, and we had it bungeed to the roof of the Ford, to piss off the surfers. But as soon as we got out of school, we got our draft notices. I got it in there. We went down to the recruiter there in Miami. We joined the paratroopers. We figured if we're going to fight, we might as well fight with the best. And they shipped us off. We all went down to the bus station when they shipped us off. And all the parents are down there, our dads, they weren't happy at all. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Well, they'd been in World War II. They knew. I got PTSD too. And they shipped us off to Fort Benning for basic training. Of course, my group, we were called we become the bloomer, what they call the bloomer platoon for the guidon, the guidons for your unit. We had a pair of girls' bloomers as our guidon, and that they put all the screw-ups in that. And then you went to what they call the nutcracker. You got into a harness, parachute harness, and it goes right up around your Johnsons. And you had to hang in that all day long. And they would twist it, they would come by, the DIs would twist it and everything and shake it, Then they would cut it loose all of a sudden. You had to learn how to fall. And then after that, then you went on the plane. And you stand in a line, and I said, oh man, fuck this shit. Oh, I'm sorry, I don't mean to.
Oh, you can swear.
Oh, okay. We'll get into the back of the line. So when we get into the plane, they go, about face. And we ended up first guys in the door of the plane. Oh man, this sucks. So we made 5 jumps, no incidents. So we were airborne qualified. And then they shipped us off to Vietnam. It was the first time to use commercial planes. And boy, what a riot that was. You got a whole company of about 18, 19-year-olds going to Vietnam, and they had these 6 airline stewardesses who were hot as hell, and everybody's messing with them, and they were messing with us too. They would go in the back room, and a couple guys were getting laid. It was unbelievable. And then we landed at Da Nang. It was about 100 degrees and 100% humidity. It was like stepping into a sauna. We went, holy shit. Yeah, welcome now. They took us to the camp. We had tents, they had set up. We were assigned a cot. And then they had trenches dug right outside. They said, we get watered. We go, we get watered? Get down in the trench. Oh, shit. We thought we were going to the 101st Airborne, so we went and got that Eagle sold on our. Then they came on and said, hey, dumb shits, you're not going there, you're going to the 1st Cav. We go, that's a leg unit. What the hell, what are we doing in a leg unit? No, they're going to start an airborne brigade. 1st Cav went Airmobile. We were in Delta Company. Delta Company, 1st Brigade, 12th Airborne. We weren't scared. We were just looking at it like a big adventure. Even though our fathers were telling us, you guys don't act like a bunch of idiots. You're going to be in there, and there's people going to be trying to kill you. You're going to get shot at. We were too immature. I mean, I was 18 going on 15. Really. We were all like that. Out of high school, we owned a bunch of jerk offs. He'd give us M16s, which I had never shot or seen. Then we went on our first missions, We were securing 155 self-propelled howitzers. So we had to dig positions next to them, foxholes. So we took their ammunition boxes, shell boxes, and we filled them with dirt, and we built a parapet around it, and set it up. Because when we did get probed, they would shoot those ammo bombs and just threw up splinters, which is as bad as, shrapnel. And then you put up your poncho with some rods, to keep the sun off you. And the first time we got hit, I was crouched in the bottom of the hole. I was an ammo bearer on an M60 crew. I remember laying there on the ground, I was trying to dig deeper. And it just shredded that, poncho. It just fell down on top of us, and the splinters were flying all over the place. But that's the worst place to be, because they'd go for the automatic weapons. And I remember the gunner, he was doo-doo-doo-doom, doo-doo-doo-doom. He was going in small bursts, because you got to train yourself, fire, trigger, they call it trigger control. Each small burst, because you can heat that barrel up, it'll jam, or it'll go what they call a cook-off. It'll just keep firing, dun, 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 dun. You don't even, until it runs out of ammo, or you twist your belt. Because Charlie coming through, he hits one tripwire, he thinks he's got them all. Because they'll crawl in at night, and they'll disconnect them. And they'll crawl in and they'll turn your claymores around on there. But we had a trick we used to do. We take a hand grenade, and you dig a little depression, and you lay it down with a spoon up, and you pull the pin out of the spoon, and you set the claymore down on the spoon. So when Sneaky Pete comes in, he lifts the claymore, click, click, he knows he's dead, because the spoon pops. Boom. We'd talk to the veterans, the guys that had been there, 6 or 7 months ahead of us, and they would tell us, what to do, what not to do, don't mess with the mama sons, they got razors in their pussies, and which they didn't, but they would scare us like that, And they would come and, the Vietnamese, they would sell us Cokes. They'd have them in a case, with a strap around their neck. They'd give us a warm Coke for $1, which you had to be careful, because sometimes they'd lace them with broken pieces of glass. Because they were all VC, as far as we were concerned, which is, you can't tell good from the bad. So you shook it up and see if the glass would, come down, and then you would drink it. If it wasn't, well, you go into your bunker, and I never smoked a cigarette, and I still don't. So they gave me a joint, and I go, oh, I don't smoke cigarettes. They go, oh, this ain't cigarettes, man. So you want to be part of the group. You don't want to be, the outside. Well, after a few hits, I go, oh, okay. Well, they sent us out on patrols. We would go out on search and destroys. They said, well, there's certain activity, and we would go out through the jungle. We had to make our way out. They put you out on a pony, which is the worst place you can be, cutting a path, and you had to be careful, booby traps, snipers, all that crazy shit. And all of a sudden, you would get fire, boom, 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 boom. Leaves would be, the rounds would be cutting the trees and shit, boom, hit the ground. You spread out, and you have your guys that are ARs on your flanks. Everybody's got a 16, it can be full auto when you hit the switch. But you don't have everybody firing because you'd be out of ammunition in about the first 30 seconds. Everybody be blah, 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 blah. You designate who your ARs are on your flanks. Everybody else is single shot. You spread out and you go in and you got to be careful because, they'd have their claymores there too, their mines, booby traps. I had some close, by my shoulder, by my head, grazed my helmet. And it's subsonic, and you don't hear no ping, you hear volume, and it just scares the shit out of you. I was hiding, I was trying to get behind a tree, and I was standing up, and they shot my canteens off. I had 2 canteens, and you wear them on your back, and they kept hitting me, and I'd go like that, And I didn't want to squat down, because if you squat down, I would expose my ass more, or my back. But yeah, rounds would go right by your head, I'd get down behind a tree or something that was laying on the ground for cover, and I'd take my 16. I was no hero. I was standing up spraying, doing a Rambo. They'd surrender, and we'd turn them over to the guys that would interrogate them. I wasn't a part of that. I didn't torture. The only torture I ever participated in, they had this, they would eat fish heads and rice, the Vietnamese did. That was their sushi, and they had this sauce they call poi sauce. It's like 110 octane. Oh, it's you burn a hole in your arm if you pour it. I don't know how they could eat that shit. But when I do it, pull their head back, I pull that down their nose. And then they have to put a glove on them, and their eyeballs would turn red, and they'd start talking so fast the interpreter couldn't get it all. It worked, you got 50 aerosols. I thought that was cool.
Oh, can you tell me about that?
Yeah, you get in a helicopter, you're just sitting there, you're not even hooked in. You got about 8 guys on a chopper. You got 2 door gunners, you got a pilot and a door gunner. And they're beep, 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 beep. You go in about tree level, because they'd be waiting for you, the snipers and shit, they would take pot shots at you as you're going flying. You could see the tracers arcing up and everything, but the door gunners were fantastic. They're my heroes. Chopper pilots and door gunners are my heroes. They're standing in an open door, blim, 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 and they're suppressing fire, trying to pin the heads down, because we would come in about 2 feet over the LZ, you hit the grass, and then, a lot of times you're getting fire from the tree lines, and you're looking around and guys are dropping around you and rounds are going over your head. I remember looking over my shoulder, I remember that door gunner, it's cool as hell. Dun, 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 dun. The rounds are going through the doors. They were bouncing off the rotors, and these guys, dun, 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 dun. And the pilots would be just sitting there, they'd give us enough time to drop off, and then they would lift out. I got an early, my father died. He had a massive heart attack when he was 60, so they pulled me out after 9 months. And they shipped me back to the States so I could be in his funeral. Then when I got home, they were asking me, how's Vietnam? Tell me about Vietnam. This is my relatives. I didn't hook up with anybody or nothing. And I thought about, because I only had like about 3 months left on my tour. And instead of going back, they sent me to 82nd Airborne, and I was at the first 325 of Fayetteville, North Carolina, Fort Bragg. And I was pissed about that because I didn't get my full tour. You know, I go, fuck that, I want to go back. I was kind of like a celebrity because there weren't too many Vietnam vets back yet from Nam. I got orders in Panama. I said, Panama? Yeah, you're going to the canal zone. What the fuck's the canal zone? Because I didn't know that. Yeah, they got an American section down there. You're going to be with the 3rd 508th Airborne. I said, well, what do they do down there? Well, you know, we're going to start this jungle operations training school. I go, huh? They said, yeah, you're going to be instructors. I said, oh shit? Yeah. So they promoted me to sergeant. You had to be a sergeant to be an instructor. We went into this one area and we cleared it completely, you know, and we built a Vietnam village like it was in Nam. Had hooches and everything, and we had tunnels, booby trapped it. So we set that up, and then we dressed like the Vietnamese. We had their weapons. Towards the end of the thing, we take you 20 miles out in this jungle and dump you off. We had a road that went out, and we make everybody get off their truck. They had to go 20 miles through this jungle without getting caught down to the Chagres River, which, you know, wound through Panama. And we'd have patrols out there. You get caught, you go to the POW camp. We had these wall lockers buried in the sand. We'd open up the door, put you down in there, throw in a small boa constrictor with you, and close the lid. Black guys went nuts. Oh, I'll kill you motherfuckers when I get it. Oh, one guy beat the door open with his hand, a big black guy, boom, man, and the door. I'm gonna kill all you motherfuckers. You know, and we had a gas mask where you can put a snake, hold a snake up, you know, and it would tickle your nose, you know. Yeah, they were pretty inventive too, you know. But I learned from them, you know, and passed it on. Told these guys what to look for. Because they whispered in my ear they were going to give me E6, you know, the next rank up, and a $500 bonus sign up. I would have had to taken 2 more years. But it was just too much bullshit, you know. You know, we were just a bunch of drunks and potheads. You know, we were just wanted to put in our time and get the fuck home. And my closest buddy, he died about a year ago. He never smoked a cigarette, and he died of Agent Orange. And I got crap on my arms, you know, from that shit. And I got a defective heart from Agent Orange. I'm 100% disability. You know, when they first came out with it, they were just starting to spray. I was only exposed 2 or 3 times, not heavy duty, because I got out of there before they really started getting crazy with it. But they said, they're going to be spraying the area we're going into. Don't touch anything. You know, and if it flies up, don't look up. Don't touch, no. Well, you're in the jungle, man. It's all over you. It's on your clothes. It's on your boots. You get back to the camp, you take your clothes off, you wash them, but it's permitted. It's in there. It's in your boots. But they didn't know what it was, and they didn't give a shit. You know, I went down the first morning the Vietnam vet, the memorial opened. I went down there in the morning. First day it was open. I walked around, you know, but it's a waste.